At 3:17 in the morning, Daniel was sitting alone in his car, preparing to destroy something he still claimed to love. On his phone was a message to the woman waiting in the apartment above him. It was precise, intelligent, cruel. He had rewritten it 6 times, removing every sentence that sounded emotional and preserving every sentence that could wound without appearing to attack. 3 hours earlier, his partner had said, "I no longer feel safe telling you when you are wrong." Daniel heard the words, but the identity inside him translated them. "You are weak. You are failing. You are no longer the man she respects." So Daniel was not trying to solve a conflict. He was trying to protect the version of himself who could never be wrong. One of them would lose before sunrise, the relationship or the identity defending itself inside it. Remember the message: we will return before his thumb moves. This video is not about physical death or self-destruction. It is about the ending of an identity that once protected you and now makes decisions in your name. Before this ends, you will identify the identity controlling one repeated reaction, see what it is costing you, and use 4 commands to give it one small loss without surrendering your ambition, boundaries, or responsibilities. Because people do not only sacrifice themselves for what they love, they also sacrifice truth, money, intimacy, and years of life for the person they are terrified to stop being. Human beings do not protect only their bodies. We protect explanations, roles, reputations, wounds. We protect the story that tells us who we are and why the past happened as it did. Take away a person's job, and they may say they have lost themselves. Challenge a belief they have defended for 20 years, and the body may react as though danger has entered the room. Let someone else succeed, and a person who considers themselves generous may experience another person's happiness as a private defeat. Nothing physical is being attacked. Yet, the nervous system sounds an alarm, because beneath your biological life, there is another life you are constantly defending, your psychological identity. It remembers what embarrassed you. It knows whose approval changes the temperature of your day. It records the rooms in which you felt small and writes rules designed to prevent you from feeling small again. Never appear confused. Never need anyone first. Never admit that you care more. Never let them see you fail. Always be useful. Always be impressive. Always remain in control. Over time, these rules stop feeling like strategies. They begin to feel like personality. You say, "This is simply who I am," but often what you mean is, "This is who I had to become in order to survive what happened." The silent child may have avoided conflict. The entertaining child may have kept an unstable family calm. The perfect child may have earned attention ordinary existence did not receive. The child who stopped needing people may have learned that disappointment hurts less when desire is denied first. These identities were not created because you were foolish. They were created because you were intelligent enough to adapt. But every successful adaptation contains a hidden danger. What protects one stage of life can imprison the next. Silence becomes distance. Perfection becomes paralysis. Independence becomes isolation. Competence becomes the inability to receive help. The protector keeps fighting long after the war has ended, and because you call it me, you never relieve it of duty. Here is the first diagnostic. Complete this sentence without trying to sound wise. If people saw that I would feel unsafe, wrong, ordinary, weak, replaceable, unlovable, behind. Keep the word that embarrasses you. Daniel's word was wrong. 2 days before the message in the car, Daniel presented a new project at work. He was a designer. For weeks he had built the concept in private, polished every detail, and imagined the moment the room would recognize its brilliance. The presentation went well, until a younger colleague named Maya noticed a problem. It was not a personal attack. She pointed to one assumption in the design and calmly explained why it could fail. The room turned toward Daniel. In less than a second, 2 problems appeared. The first problem was real. The design might contain a flaw. The second problem was psychological. Daniel's identity as the most capable person in the room had been threatened. The first problem required curiosity. The second demanded combat. Daniel explained why Maya had misunderstood the concept. She clarified. He interrupted. She produced evidence. He changed the subject. By the end of the meeting, Daniel had protected his image for 7 minutes and weakened the team's trust for months. This is how invisible identities create visible destinies. The person who must appear intelligent becomes incapable of learning. The person who must appear strong becomes incapable of intimacy. The person who must appear successful becomes incapable of financial freedom. The person who must appear innocent becomes incapable of apology. The identity promises to protect your value, but it can protect you only by preventing the experiences that might transform you. That is why some people remain trapped in the same conflict for decades. The problem is not always that they lack information. Sometimes the person trying to solve the problem depends on the problem continuing. The rescuer chooses people who refuse to be saved. The victim searches every room for proof of betrayal. The person built around struggle distrusts peace when peace arrives. Not because they consciously desire suffering, because familiar pain allows the familiar self to remain alive. Freedom creates a frightening question. Who would you be without the problem that has explained you for so long? Before judging Daniel, look behind the man arguing in the conference room. The part demanding combat was older than the meeting and younger than the man. Daniel did not become controlling because he was born cruel. He grew up in a home where mistakes were remembered longer than love. His father believed criticism created strength. A low grade was not a disappointing result. It was evidence of laziness. Confusion was not part of learning. It was weakness. Apology did not repair dignity. It surrendered it. Daniel learned that competence was not something he did. It was the condition under which he deserved respect. So when Maya found a flaw, the frightened child did not hear useful information. He heard a verdict. You are becoming the person you were warned never to become. The adult room disappeared. The old courtroom returned. This is why you should not hate the identity you need to release. Your perfectionism may have earned safety. Your anger may have defended dignity. Your emotional distance may have prevented abandonment from destroying you. Your constant productivity may have won approval when simple existence did not. Thank the guardian, but take the keys from its hands. The identity was created to protect your life. It was never meant to become your life. This is the central reversal. Dying before you die is not the destruction of the self. It is the retirement of an outdated protector. You do not throw it into the darkness. You turn toward it and say, "You helped me survive a world that no longer exists, but you cannot lead me into the world that is coming. Now test this in yourself." Think of one reaction that repeatedly becomes larger than the facts seem to justify. A criticism you replay for hours, a purchase you feel compelled to make, a conversation you keep postponing, a person who can change your entire day with one sentence. Ask, what is the identity afraid people will discover about me? Use the embarrassing word you chose earlier. Then ask, what is this identity making me sacrifice to keep that word hidden? Truth, rest, money, intimacy, opportunity, time. Every identity charges rent. Some collect a few uncomfortable moments. Others consume an entire life. Hold your answer. A king once believed his mask was protecting a kingdom. It was collecting the same rent. There was once a king who wore a golden mask. He had worn it for so long that no one remembered his face. Not his advisors, not his family. Eventually, not even the king himself. The mask smiled during celebrations. It remained calm during war. It spoke with certainty when the man beneath it was afraid. At first, the mask served the king. Then the king began serving the mask. When an advisor warned that the harvest was failing, the king punished him for spreading doubt. When a general recommended retreat, the king continued a losing war because withdrawal would make the mask appear weak. When his son asked whether he was frightened, the king became angry because the question had come too close to the face beneath the gold. Then one night, the king heard a crack. A fracture appeared near the mask's eye. Craftsmen came from across the kingdom. Each repair made the fracture spread. Desperate, the king pressed the mask against his skin. Still, he refused to remove it. Without the mask, he thought, there will be no king. Then a voice behind him asked, "Do you want to save the kingdom or the image of the man who rules it?" That question was more dangerous than any enemy, because the king finally saw the true condition of his life. The kingdom was dying so that the identity of the king could survive. Daniel had no throne, but the same question waited in the car. Do you want to save the relationship or the image of the man who can never be corrected? At dawn, the king entered the council chamber, carrying the cracked mask in both hands. He did not become fearless. The throne did not disappear. The enemy remained beyond the border. He placed the gold on the table and said, the harvest is failing. I punish the person who told me the war is being lost. I called the general a coward. Tell me what must be done. Some advisors looked away. Some were disappointed. One seemed almost angry, because people who organize themselves around your mask may experience your honesty as betrayal. But information returned to the room. The stores were opened. The strategy changed. The exiled advisor was summoned. The king could retreat without becoming a coward, ask without becoming weak, and listen without disappearing. The kingdom did not recover because the king became invulnerable. It recovered because he no longer needed to appear invulnerable. What in your life is deteriorating merely to protect an image? Perhaps an apology threatens the identity of being reasonable. Rest threatens the identity of being important. A boundary threatens the identity of being kind. A quiet life threatens the identity of being successful. The mask is not always arrogance. Sometimes it is goodness, competence, independence, spirituality, suffering, humility, performed for an invisible audience. The test is simple. What happens when reality asks you to behave outside the role? Can the strong person ask for help? Can the kind person establish a boundary? Can the intelligent person admit confusion? Can the successful person choose something no one will applaud? When a role becomes more important than reality, the instrument has become the master. Daniel's mask was competence, but there are other masks that quietly consume a life. The first identity must be right. It does not seek truth. It seeks immunity from humiliation. When someone corrects you, notice the speed of the reaction, the tightening chest, the preparation of counter-evidence, the search for one flaw in the other person's argument that allows you to ignore everything they got right. This identity survives only if error remains a moral failure. So let it suffer a small death. Say, you may be right. Let me examine that. What dies is not intelligence or authority, only the requirement to appear complete. When that requirement dies, learning returns. The second identity must be needed. It calls itself generous. Sometimes it is. But beneath generosity may be a hidden contract. I will solve your life, and in return, you will never be able to leave mine. The person who must be needed gives more than anyone requested, then quietly resents others for accepting. They choose chaotic relationships because stability offers no role to perform. They solve problems before others can develop the strength to solve them. They call exhaustion love. But love that requires another person to remain helpless is not entirely love. Sometimes the rescuer must let another person struggle, learn, choose, and even be disappointed. Then they discover whether the relationship remains when usefulness is no longer the price of belonging. The third identity must be seen. After Daniel received a promotion, his first thought was not relief. It was visibility. He imagined the watch, the car, the apartment, the photographs through which progress would become real to other people. He had not spent anything yet, but the identity had already begun consuming his future income. This does not mean wealth, beauty, comfort, or ambition are corrupt. The question is, what psychological job you are hiring the object to perform? Would you still want it if nobody could see it? Does it improve your life or defend you from the fear that your life does not look important enough? When the costume dies, money can become something different. Time, choice, stored freedom, the ability to leave what degrades you, and the ability to build quietly without demanding immediate applause. The death of status is not the death of ambition. It may be the first moment ambition becomes genuinely yours. You may recognize yourself in one identity or all three, but recognition alone is not transformation. Daniel already knew he was defensive. Understanding did not move his thumb away from the send button. For that, he needed a practice small enough to use while the old self was still speaking. The old identity rarely disappears in a dramatic, mystical event. It loses authority inside ordinary moments. Use 4 commands: feel, name, let it lose, choose. First, feel the alarm before believing the story. When you are triggered, the body often reacts before the mind builds an explanation. Heat in the face, pressure in the chest, a tightening throat, a sudden need to speak, buy, leave, attack, or prove. For one breath, experience the alarm as an event in the body. Do not immediately turn sensation into a verdict. This is not passivity. It is the refusal to hand authority to the first frightened part that enters the room. Second, name the identity. Do not say, "I am furious." Say, "The part of me that must not be dismissed is furious." Do not say, "I am a failure." Say, "There is a thought that this failure defines me." Language creates distance. The event remains real. Responsibility remains real. But experience is separated from essence. You failed at something. That does not mean failure is the material from which you are made. Third, let it lose one thing. Do not attempt to destroy your ego. Give it one small loss. Let it lose the final word. Let it lose the purchase. Let it lose the perfect explanation. Let it lose the opportunity to appear innocent. Let it lose 60 seconds of control. The identity will predict catastrophe. Allow the prediction to exist without automatically obeying it. Fourth, choose the action that serves your values. Ask, if I did not need to protect an image, what would courage do now? Perhaps courage apologizes. Perhaps courage leaves. Perhaps courage stays and listens. Perhaps courage says no. Perhaps courage admits uncertainty. Perhaps courage closes the shopping page. Perhaps courage begins the work badly instead of postponing it perfectly. The purpose is not to feel calm before acting. The purpose is to let a deeper commitment choose while fear remains present. Feel, name, let it lose, choose. Freedom is not the absence of the old voice. It is the end of its unquestioned authority. Now return to the car. The rain has not stopped. The message is still waiting. Daniel looked at the message again. For the first time that night, he did not ask whether every sentence was defensible. He felt the alarm before believing the story. Heat in the face, pressure in the chest, a jaw locked against a humiliation that had not actually occurred in the car. Then he named the identity, the man who must never be seen as wrong. He asked, "What is this man asking me to sacrifice so that he can survive?" The answer came immediately. The relationship, the old courtroom returned. His father's voice, Maya pointing to the flaw. His partner saying she no longer felt safe correcting him. For several seconds, Daniel wanted to abandon the practice. The cruel message still felt powerful. It promised relief, victory, the certainty that by morning, no one would mistake him for the weaker person. Then he saw it clearly. The message was not strength. It was a frightened child wearing adult language as armor. Daniel let the identity lose one thing, the message. He deleted it. Not because his partner was entirely right, not because he was entirely wrong, not because boundaries no longer mattered. He wrote, "I am still defensive, and I do not trust myself to discuss this honestly tonight. But part of what you said is true. I want to listen tomorrow without turning it into a trial." He stared at the new message. It did not make him look powerful. It did something more difficult. It made contact with reality. He sent it. No light descended from the sky. No childhood wound disappeared. Daniel did not become enlightened. He remained in the car, frightened by what morning might require. But one identity had failed to control one decision. That was enough. Most transformations begin this quietly. A sentence is not sent. An apology is spoken. A purchase waits. A person admits, "I do not know." A role is declined. A truth is allowed into the room. The old self rarely dies all at once. It loses jurisdiction, moment by moment. A seed is protected by the shell that once made its survival possible. But when the time for growth arrives, that same protection becomes the barrier life must break. From inside the shell, growth may feel like destruction, but the seed is not opened so that it can disappear. The mask is not removed so that the king can abandon the kingdom. Daniel did not delete the message so that he could become silent, passive, or incapable of defending himself. There must be a return. Shallow spirituality often mistakes withdrawal for transformation. It avoids relationships and calls it detachment. It suppresses desire and calls it purity. It abandons responsibility and calls it surrender. Real transformation makes you more available to life, not less. You listen more completely because every sentence is no longer judged as praise or attack. You work more honestly because work is no longer a courtroom in which your worth must be proven. You love more freely because another person is no longer required to stabilize your identity. Life will ask you to release many things before physical death asks you to release everything. The person you became to survive childhood, the status you needed in order to feel visible, the resentment that kept a wound attached to the person who caused it, the future version of yourself whose arrival keeps giving you permission not to live now. Do not hate these identities. They carried you, but they cannot all come with you. When the old guardian returns, and it will, listen without returning the keys. You do not need to become a person without fear. You need to become a person whose fear is no longer permitted to write every decision. Before tomorrow, perform one small funeral, not a dramatic gesture. One action your old identity has been preventing. Admit the mistake. Send the honest message. Decline the role that requires self-betrayal. Cancel the purchase designed for an invisible audience. Begin before you feel ready. Listen for 60 seconds without building your defense. Ask for help without apologizing for needing it. Choose one, then notice the grief that follows. Do not mistake grief for failure. Even a prison can be mourned when it has been called home for long enough. Complete this sentence. The identity I am ready to release is. Do not name the person you hope to become. Name what you are finished protecting. Then give that identity one small loss before the door closes again. The ancient secret was never teaching you how to disappear. It was teaching you how to stop disappearing inside fear, roles, imitation, and postponement. The body does not need to die. The false ruler only needs to leave the throne.